Hi, I'm Michael Jarrett, a user experience designer in Adobe's Creative Cloud Learning Group. Today, I'm going to show you just how easy it is to create and print a 3D model directly from Photoshop. For the past several releases, Photoshop has included 3D features, but the January 2014 update includes support for 3D printing from directly within the application. If you would like to follow along, please download the sample file for this tutorial and open it in the latest version of Photoshop CC. You should have the birdpendant.psd file open. Before you start, be sure to change your ruler's unit of measure to either inches, centimeters, or millimeters, whichever you prefer. This makes it easier as we'll be doing some resizing, and it helps to use the same units that the printed object will be measured in. If you don't see your rulers, choose View, Rulers. Right-click on the ruler to select its unit of measurement. Okay, our first step is to take this design and make it three-dimensional. Select the bird layer and choose 3D, New 3D Extrusion from selected layer. When Photoshop asks if you'd like to switch to the 3D workspace, click Yes. This will give us all of the tools and panels we need to modify our 3D model. Now a couple of new panels have opened up that you might not be familiar with. The two that we're going to work with today are the 3D panel and the Properties panel. If it helps, you should drag them out side by side as I've done here, as we'll be using them both simultaneously. In the 3D panel, begin by selecting the scene. When you select the scene, you are not only selecting the 3D object, but also the light that's cast on it and the surface that it's sitting on. In some cases, your scene can even have multiple 3D objects. As you can see, the Properties panel shows us a number of options when we have the scene selected. Click on the printer icon. These are our 3D print settings. Right now, we need to scale this object down to print size. Make sure that your printer volume is set to your preferred unit of measure, and then find the section titled Scene Volume. Change the X value, typing in the number 2 if you're working in inches, or 50.8 if you're working in millimeters. The X, Y, and Z values all change accordingly, and our object looks like it fits within the print boundaries. Find your way back to the 3D panel and select the 3D object itself. It's the one called Bird. Now the options in the Properties panel have changed as a result of the selection we've just made in the 3D panel. In the Properties panel, click on the second icon. That's the option for Deform. Here we are going to modify the extrusion depth of our model. Currently it's set at just over 1.5 inches, but I'd like to change that to 1/8 of an inch. Type in the number 0.125 for inches, or 3.175 if you're working in millimeters. As you can see from this change, the 3D model resembles a pendant, one that you might hang from a necklace or a keychain. The last thing I'd like us to do with this object is to rotate it 90 degrees around the x-axis so that it sits flat on its side. To do this, click on the last icon in the Properties panel. This will give you options for changing the object's coordinates. We want to rotate this object 90 degrees around the x-axis, so enter the value 90 into the x-axis rotation field. This is the top option in the center column. Next, select the option for Move to Ground, which automatically positions the object so that it is sitting right on the ground plane, which represents the printer bed. Now our object is ready for 3D printing. Please join me in the next video as I demonstrate how to set up your object and send it for printing at Shapeways.